Hello there. In today's session we're going to be making savoury quiche. So we're going to be making our fresh short crust pastry. We're going to be popping it into a greased tin. You can see I've already pre-greased this in advance just to keep this demonstration manageable and short. So I've already greased that. A little bit of margarine or soft butter in there, preferably the margarine, reason being the butter could burn. The margarine has a higher flash point. So nicely greased right around the fluted edges. If you're lucky enough to have at home a stainless steel one where the bottom pops out, fantastic, they're a little bit easier to use. Most of us will have these ceramic quiche plates, fluted flan tins at home, so if this is what we're using, absolutely fine. It's all in the preparation. So I've greased this out. I'm going to put this in the fridge to chill because that can go hard. And then when I come to put the pastry in, the fat that's in that flute, it won't mix with the pastry. That's the idea behind that. The next thing that we're going to do is the pastry. I'll quickly run through the ingredients that I've got for the quiche. Now the pastry, you're going to need exactly the same way that I've got it. So I've got 175 grams of plain flour. I've got 75 grams of soft butter or margarine. I've got some table salt. Now, as you all know, you've been in the kitchen with me loads, I love my sea salt, but on this occasion I want the finer salt, so I'm going to use a table salt. And a little pot of water, cold water. Now they're 4 ingredients that you will need for your quiche. The filling, I'm going to leave up to yourself, but what I've got for my quiche today, I'm going to do a classical quiche Lorraine. I've got some bacon, which I chopped up. I've removed the thick layer of fat which was on the outside. I do want to keep a little bit of fat in the dish because the fat is flavourful when it's frying off. So as you can see in there, there is still fat on the bacon. I haven't removed it all, I've just trimmed it. I've got some diced onion, and I've also crushed down with a little bit of salt on the chopping board 1 clove of garlic. I've got 250 grams of grated cheddar cheese. I've already pre-grated this, 250 grams there. I've got 10 eggs, and I've got 250 mils of green milk. Green top milk, should I say. If you wanted to, you could go half and half, milk and cream, if you wanted to enrich it up. But I'm just going to use milk because with my eggs and with my cheese, it's going to be a very rich quiche anyway. I've obviously got my salt and pepper as well. That's my sea salt. I've got that in a grinder, so I'm just going to use that. You can actually buy these from the supermarket. They're fantastic. And I've got my cracked black pepper, which I'll grind fresh. I'm at home, so I'm going to be using some mixed herbs. Okay, we're very lucky in college when we can get our hands on the fresh herbs and chop them up. We're at home, we're in lockdown. Appreciate the supermarkets are still selling fresh herbs, but abiding by lockdown, we're only meant to be going out once a day, shopping as minimal as possible. So I appreciate we don't have fresh. So you can see I've raided my dry stash, which I've got a few herbs and spices. I've got that out. I'm going to put some mixed herbs in. Okay, not what we want, but it is better than nothing. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the pastry, because like any pastry, we need to mix it and we need to chill it, and so it's easier to roll out. Okay, so I've got my flour here. I may have to adjust the camera, but no, I think we're going to be alright. So I'm going to sieve my flour into a larger bowl. Alright, and if you can recall why you sieve the flour, I'm not going to give too much away because you're going to have to complete the sheet which accompanies this session. So I'm going to sieve the flour, get that all in. Okay, look at that, that's nearly all gone. Got a few lumps in the bottom which just need persuaded through. I've got no impurities in that. Can go out the way. I'm going to put a pinch of salt in. If you're using a container like this, right, don't go tipping it in like that because you've got no control over it. Pop it into your hand, put a couple of pinches in there, discard what you're not using, and then in goes my 75 grams of soft butter. Again, you need it soft. You try doing this with hard butter, you're going to be there a while. And all you're going to do with this, you're going to mix this in until we get a breadcrumb stage. Now, what you're doing is you're coating your hand in the flour and then you're squeezing the butter through your hand like that. For those of you who've made, and I'm sure you have, crumbles and things like that, that's the consistency you're looking for. You're almost looking for a breadcrumb. Okay, and it will come fairly quickly. Make sure that you get all that flour. I can see this turning a yellow. Okay, so it's gone from the lovely white of the flour, squeezing that butter into it, making a nice breadcrumb. We need to make sure that all that fat is mixed in with the dry. If I squeeze it together, you can see it's starting to form into a paste. Now, all we have in here is three of the four ingredients that we need. We need the water to go in to bind it together, and the water is actually going to give it its flexibility. So whilst we can squeeze it together, if we attempt to roll it, it will just crumble. So it's the water that's going to give it its elasticity. So I'm quite happy with that. It's come together very quickly. A little bit at a time. Just like when we've made bread in previous sessions, if you get it too wet, you have to start chucking more flour in and you readjust the recipe. So little bits at a time. Now each recipe will be different, so I'm not saying to you you need to add 25 mils of cold water or anything like that. You can see how much I'm adding in. It will come together. You're just stirring it around like that. And the more water you add, the larger the lumps of pastry sticking together will be, and it will come together as one. What you're looking for is a lovely piece of dough, well, dough-like consistency. Now if I pick some of this up, you can see that now is in larger lumps. Again, slowly coming together. I think that should be sufficient. What I'm looking for is a nice clean bowl, as I mentioned. It's a short crust pastry, so I don't want to work it too much. It shouldn't be sticky in the bowl. It should leave the bowl nice and clean. I'm just going to continue to move this around the bowl just to ensure that all my flour is mixed in there. It's nice and pliable, my hands aren't sticky. If my hands were sticky, there's too much liquid gone in. Lovely. Now that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Right. We'll wrap that up in cling film. And I'm going to put that in the fridge. just wash my hands. Remember guys, you might be working at home, but you are still professional. Same kind of rules apply as they would at college. Clean as you go. Work tidily, work safely, work hygienically. Okay, obviously I have prepared all my ingredients prior to coming onto this to make this video. Bacon is raw meat. I'm working from home. You're probably the same as me, you'll have one chopping board. Obviously you need to regularly clean. Don't just turn it over, get it washed, get it cleaned down, get it sanitised, then come back, do your onions, things like that. Okay, get the high risk out the way first and make sure you are nice and clean when you're doing it. Okay. Right guys, I'm going to leave you there. Okay, get your pastry done, get it into the fridge, and then obviously you can do the next part of the session, which will be video number 2. I'll be back with you in a few moments.